Alright, let's get started. Good evening, everybody. Hopefully the stream isn't buffering at all, preferably. I don't think it is. I kept getting warnings telling me it was, but I kept looking at my screen and it didn't appear to be. Who knows? Anyway, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the first stream of 2020. Let me just flick that over. Let me also get this in the right place. That should be a bit better. We're going to have some music tonight. I'm not going to be doing a huge amount of talking if I can absolutely help it. I'll explain what I'm doing and stuff like that, but there might be some dead spots, so I'd rather have the music playing just to fill those gaps. Seems to be fine. Good stuff. Right, good evening, everybody. Happy New Year. Welcome to 2020. I say that like I've been here longer than you guys. I probably haven't. I mean, I've been here longer than the US, I suppose. Anyway, that's not what I'm going to be talking about. New patch, new start-ish, same network, new start. New services, new features, lots of cool stuff that we're going to be introducing to the network tonight. However, as I've explained on my Discord, problems are happening. Hopefully, it's me being dumb, and it's not that there's a problem with the patch. There's a couple of quality life things. For those of you that don't know, context time, JGR is a legend. I mentioned, was it last stream? Might be in the stream before, that I couldn't open the Joker patch saves in the JGR patch. JGR himself has actually had a look at that. He released an update to his patch that allowed Joker patch files to be opened. So this is JGR now. This is no longer the Joker patch. One day maybe if Joker updates his patch again, I might go back to it. I stayed loyal for as long as I could. Ultimately though, I wasn't really happy sticking with a patch that just wasn't working. So much was going wrong with it. The crash, the money issues, all that kind of thing. It was incredibly frustrating. So, yeah, wanted to switch to JGR, couldn't because of the save file issue, but JGR has released an update to his patch which has fixed it. So we are now in JGR. Because of that, we have the features that I've been waiting for ages. Things like scheduled dispatch. In fact, that was it, really. Scheduled dispatch was the big one for me. You might also notice the track looks a little bit different. It's nothing to do with the patch. I switched from the fine scale track, which was okay, the UK fine scale track, but I've ditched that one now and I've gone with BR tracks. And the reason I've gone with BR tracks is because it's compatible most with BR trains, which is what I'm using pretty much everywhere on the network except for a couple of lines, which has actually presented a problem. A couple of days ago I had the game open and you'll see here, for example, I had HLR trains running down this line between Slenston and Guard City St George, and yet today I opened the file and these trains have no power. So I'm not sure what's happened there. I think I'm going to have to do some forced crashes to get rid of these trains so I can convert the line so I can get trains running again. Not ideal, if I'm being honest. If anyone knows a fix for that as well, by the way, that would be handy. The shunting patch would come in handy for that because I could just get locos to couple up to these trains and drag them or push them out of the bad spot. But anyway, that's one of the things. Tonight we're going to be working with scheduled dispatch. We're going to be converting a lot of our existing services over to scheduled dispatch. I have, however, it's going to be one of those nights, isn't it? I have had a lot of problems with getting scheduled dispatch to work, and this is where I'm saying I hope I'm being dumb and it's not a case of scheduled dispatch isn't actually working how I want it to. Up here was a good example, but it seems to have cleared itself, or I cleared it the last time I played it. I think I cleared it. Thinking about it, maybe the update, something's changed in the files. Maybe now it works a little bit better. Who knows? We shall see. I'm just looking to see if there's a bunch up of overground vehicles. Oh, this is interesting. So yeah, one of the other quality of life things that I was going to mention was the fact that these can't be overground? Surely not. Oh no, you are overground. What the hell are you doing there? Depots was the thing I was going to mention as being a problem. And yeah, the big problem by the looks of things. This almost doesn't feel like I'm in the right save file. But I must be. I don't know what's happening here. Because this track here that I've updated or upgraded in the past, it just doesn't seem to be there now. No, sadly not, James. Can't convert track while a train is sitting on it. That could do with being changed, perhaps. I don't know if that affects the routing of vehicles or not, though. I don't know. But that would be really handy to have right now, the ability to do that. But yeah, these overground trains were all bunched up either here at GSG or at the first stop after GSG on their respective lines. And that was annoying. That wasn't very helpful of the game to do that. It's something to do with... I'll try and explain it as best I can. So scheduled dispatch. I had, for the overground, I had peak hours and non-peak or off-peak hours. And to try and make it as realistic as possible, I think I had trains running every 20 minutes in the off-peak during the day, 15 minutes during the morning and evening peak times, or rush hour times, and then outside of those hours, from like 6 AM till, I think it was 7:30 or 8 AM, I had trains running every half an hour, and then after, I think it was 8 PM till midnight, I had trains running every half an hour. And then I had trains waiting here at GSG for 20 minutes. And I think that was the problem, was this waiting time at the terminus can't really be longer than the shortest gap between trains, which in this case was 15 minutes. So I changed it to 15 minutes. And what I would normally do on the Joker patch was then send all trains for servicing, so they would all go round their journey and then back to the depot when the depot order comes up. But JGR doesn't have that feature, so if you send a train to the depot here, it will just look for the nearest depot geographically and head to that one. And I think that's why we've now got a whole load of overground trains on this section of the track here. Basically the wrong section of the track. So I think step one of tonight is going to be getting rid of these. Let's go with this. Actually no, let's just go with electrified. That would make more sense. And we'll just drag this across to there. So maybe one more. Maybe there. And then hopefully these trains will start to trickle out by themselves. Where were you trying to go? Okay. So if I unpause the game quickly, I might run with a bit of game sound tonight as well, just so you can hear the trains shuffling along. But yeah, that's a real problem. But James has mentioned it on the GitHub, and JGR says he's going to look into it. So that's hopefully going to be resolved. And I'm very anxious to, or very keen to say that it's not a problem with the patch as such, because I kind of feel like I'm a bit intrusive at the moment, because I download the patch, I start playing it, and immediately I go, can you fix this, can you fix this, can you fix this? That's really annoying, that noise. Let me see if I can lower the volume. There we go. You probably won't be able to hear it now, but that was really loud in my ears. But yeah, I don't want to be the guy that just keeps going, can you fix this, can you fix this? But there were a couple of quality of life things that I would like to have changed. One of them was if I'm setting up new orders and I'm trying to do timetabling, if I press Control and then click on the order, it for some reason... Where are you trying to go? You're going to the same place. For some reason it set wait times for waypoints as well. So the first time I set up the overground, I had the train waiting for a minute at each waypoint. Another quality of life thing, I'm having to set the minimum wait time at each station currently to a minute, because it doesn't work in decimals. I can't do a 0.5. Whereas when I had it as ticks, I could set it for the equivalent of 30 seconds worth of ticks, and it would work. But I switched it. There's a setting you can change, which was show timetable. No, that's not what I want. Although that might fix the problem. Show time in minutes rather than days. So down here we've got a date, and then we've also got a time. So now if I open up a random... What are you doing? Oh, I think I know what you're doing. Let's just change you to... No, you are that. I have no idea what's going on here. Good evening, Frank. Good evening, Frank. Sorry for ignoring you there, buddy. And good evening, Tom. So yeah, I'm not complaining as such. These are just things that I've noticed in the patch so far. Some of which are problems, some of which I can probably find ways to get around it without it being a major issue. Some of which I'm just going to have to get used to at the end of the day. They're just things I'm going to have to get used to. I am starting to wonder though if somewhere between me last playing the game and opening it again this time, maybe some files have rejigged themselves and sorted themselves out, and it's not a bigger deal anymore. The track one was an interesting one though, because I had trains running on this line, the HLR line. I had trains running, so I don't know what's happened now that's made it not work anymore. I also don't know how I'm going to fix that one. I might have to come back to the HLR at some point in the future. But yeah, you can see anyway the aftermath of trains constantly queuing. This wasn't to do with the power, this was to do with the timetabling. Another issue that I don't think scheduled dispatch actually solves, and I had this problem with Cities in Motion as well, and it used to drive me up the wall, is repeating schedules. So there is a setting, and again I'll show you this, for conditional orders. Handle conditional order jumps by, and you have an option of assume they'll be taken, assuming they won't be taken, or giving up. So I think I might just do not be taken when calculating departures. Because basically all of these journeys had conditional orders attached to them, and that was if vehicle reliability is greater than 20%, repeat the schedule again. That seemed to cause more problems than it fixed though, because bear in mind, when this service here, currently the overground is split into a clockwise and an anti-clockwise. But previously it was one service that went clockwise and then it went anti-clockwise. And you end up with a train during its schedule entering and leaving GSG 4 times. And there's only 6 platforms for the overground. So you could potentially have all 6 platforms filled up by one service, which wasn't particularly ideal. And that, I think, was what was happening. And then when I split it, even when I split it in half, you still had the same train potentially entering and exiting the station twice during its schedule. Sometimes it would wait 20 minutes and then go on its schedule again. Sometimes it would wait 20 minutes and go back to depot. Either way, it was causing problems. You'll see here I've got some trams running as well. These also seem to be working without too big an issue. Oh no, here we go. Right, let's see if the trams are doing the thing that I thought they'd be doing. So this one's quite bad. We're currently at 22:14, and this train is sitting here until 10 past 12. So this train is effectively sitting at this stop for 2 hours. Oh, sorry, 10 to 1. So 3.5 hours this train is going to be sitting here for. This tram's going to be sitting here for. That's not what I want. And if I reset the late counter, you'll see now, I think. Yeah, now it tells itself that it's late. It's running 39 minutes late. But when it gets to the next stop, what it was doing was resetting itself, which isn't really what I wanted it to do. And also if I come up to here, we have a whole line of Guard City Connect trains all queuing to use these 3 platforms. It used to be 2, I had to open up a 3rd one. And again, if I select this, this was what was happening. There's no timetable. There's no timetable. And this was the problem I was explaining on Discord. The timetable just disappeared. If I reset the late counter, then a timetable appears. But I shouldn't have to interfere for a timetable to appear. It should just happen, and it wasn't, which was quite annoying. This one as well. This one does have a timetable. You gotta ignore these numbers here because it's a live updated timetable. So this one's gonna wait for 12 minutes and then it's gonna... Sorry, this one's gonna wait for 2 hours, 12 minutes, and then it's gonna leave. Which is not good. Did it mention anything at the bottom about... Whoops. Derp. Yep, this one's running 148 minutes early. Not yet started. And I think it's to do with when the timetable updates. So at the moment, because these trains were all bunched up and queuing, I was skipping some orders to try and get the trains to run. But at every station it stops and it checks where it is on the timetable. So this one, for example, first station out from the terminus, and it realises, well, this one doesn't have a timetable. Again. So if I just reset the late counter to get this one going. But this one probably will realise that it's right up behind this one, so it will try and wait the time. And it just ends up, it queues trains. And because I can't send them all to the depot, because the way scheduled dispatch works is the first order on the list, it treats that as the depot, which in my case is actually the depot, which is handy. So it will bunch trains up in that location until their scheduled dispatch time. But because the way the Joker patch worked was I could just send all trains for servicing, and on the orders list it would cycle through until it got to the depot, so they would all be in the right place at the right time. I tried this with the trams in Guard City to try and reset them all, and all it does is... Where's Guard City? Gone past it. That's not like me. It's been a while since I've played the game properly and scoured the map. So what happened with the trams was, because they all have access to the depot, they were all going straight to the depot. But then their next order wasn't this storage area, it was just wherever they happened to be on their schedule when I clicked send for servicing. So it wasn't fixing the problem, it was just temporarily stopping the problem whilst the trains all went to the depot and then back out again. Which wasn't particularly ideal, as I'm sure you can imagine. Very annoying. It's not working how I wanted it to work. But unless there's an actual problem with it, until I can prove there's a problem with it, I'm just going to keep going with it for now. Because the actual feature of scheduled dispatch is very, very handy. Very good. I'm enjoying it a lot. Oh, that green screen effect is awful. I'm going to have to fix that. I got it working on all my other devices except my laptop. And then I copied my OBS settings from my laptop onto this. Which is why it doesn't work on this. So yeah, scheduled dispatch. I was chatting on Discord last night about some ideas to do with scheduled dispatch and to do with order frequencies and service frequencies, and some schedules will be extended to certain places, some won't be, and because at the moment the Great Western franchise is the only one that's currently working, it's the only one that's currently occupied by a franchise holder, I thought I'd start with this one. Just so I can show you guys the kind of things I've been thinking, and also how conversations will happen now with franchise holders regarding service frequencies and things like that. So, let's start with one of the outliers that I wanted to work with. So if I open up the vehicle orders list, currently we have... where are we? Let's collapse all of these. This is handy, by the way. Joker's patch did have a collapse all and expand all, but these little plus icons, I don't know why. I don't know if the hitbox is actually bigger on them or not, but it makes clicking on them so much easier. Let's select this one. Guard City St. Peter to Morningpool Falls. This is the first service that I wanted to work with. So currently, let me show you my current process for adding scheduled dispatch. So if I go into timetable, currently it's on autofill. One of the things JGR recommended yesterday was autofill or automate should also spread the vehicles fine. But I want to use scheduled dispatch at the end of the day. But before we can get onto that, the first thing I have to do is go into the service schedule, Great Western. Where am I? GSP to Morningpool Falls. This is the one. just reset some times, because 1 minute is the minimum waiting time now, so all the 0.17s will have to be replaced by 1 minute. That does also, because I've changed the tick time, it does also bugger up the, if you go on the service schedules, the actual number of trains in schedule will all be a really low number now. Don't worry about that. It's because basically that system's redundant now. I'm not going to be using the mathematics here, because scheduled dispatch, one of the really good features of it is it tells you how many trains you need. So we'll get this box open as well. We'll come back to this in a second. Let me just move this over so that it's not being covered. Because yeah, the first thing I have to do is reset the wait times. So depot times are always 60 minutes. These times, I've been toying with different ideas. 30 minutes is the standard, but for some I've been using like 10 minutes just to get trains cycling. But for now I'm just going to use 30 minutes. And 30 minutes here. I need an extra. Okay, I can use my laptop as an extra monitor just to make all this work. So it's 1 minute except for Little Proningwell, Great Winfield Airport, Woolworth and Gronville. That makes sense. So out of St. Peter, the first stop is Plinston. And the cool thing about this new system is I just press 1 and it sets it to 1 minute, which is great. The other good thing is the tick limit on Joker's patch was good, but it wasn't realistic. Whereas on this game, I basically have the game running at the moment in real time. So if it says it's going to take half an hour to wait at a station, it pretty much, I think it's 25 minutes, so it's not quite perfect. It's like 20-25 minutes that it waits at the station. So I can set up a real life timetable, which is really, really handy in this case. I'm quite happy with that. I think it's a really cool feature. I've already messed up here because Little Proningwell is 2 minutes. That's this interchange station here with the Western Reaches South. Then we come to the airport here and we also wait for 2 minutes. Now at this point I would just hold control and set all these times, but I won't show you with this order because then I'll have to go and change them all again. But basically these waypoints were having 1 minute wait times added to them. And if you see how many waypoints there are between some of these stations, you'll be able to see why that's a bit of a problem. Yeah, does it run fast here? I think it does. To Neffingberg Springs East. And then Sentfield and Nardinghatton. And then we get to Woolworth. Then we come to Canal Road. So I say this is step 1. It's just resetting the wait times. If JGR fixes the issue with the wait times, then I'll be able to just go forth and hold control, and this will speed up things a lot quicker. George, I hope you're ready with your service frequencies for this service, because I'm going to need you to feed them to me in a minute. So these are all 1 minute until we get to Morningpool Falls, where it goes to 30 minutes. Now I already have a service go to Morningpool Falls. The cross-region service that we have from Denston Carnegie, I've managed to get that one working, and actually that one works quite well. I think it's because, apart from Morningpool Falls where it only goes in and out once on its orders, Denston, every platform is currently open, so if there are more than like 4 trains entering at the same time, or more than 4 trains waiting at the same time, there's plenty of platform space to be used. Eventually though, I am going to start allocating platforms to different services there, and that could cause some problems. But for now, I'm not too bothered about it. It works, that's the main thing. Trains actually run pretty much at the service frequency that I've set, so I'm quite happy with it. Gronville West, wait for 2 minutes. Gronville East, 1 minute. We can pick things up in the chat a little bit, guys. Very quiet. Is it just New Year blues or something? Oh yeah, that's some news I was going to say. This time next week we will still be streaming OpenTTD, but it will be part of the 1K Q&A streams. So eventually I took the decision to split it up into, I think it's going to be 6 different streams, one for each day of the week. Thursdays is going to be OpenTTD, like I said. But everything is going to be like themed. So Monday I think is going to be Minecraft. Tuesday is probably going to be Train Simulator if I can get everything set up and working by then. Wednesday, maybe Space Engineers. I'm not 100% set on the other days yet, but if you keep up to date on my YouTube channel, you'll see I'll put them all up there over the weekend. So you'll see which day is going to be which game. Thursday is going to be OpenTTD, so I'm going to have the questions that people have asked specifically about OpenTTD. They'll be answered during that stream. But yeah, all the other ones, there's going to be some questions that will be split into other videos. So some people have asked me some just general day-to-day stuff, plans for the channel. That might go in the Monday one because it'll be the first one. So I'm recommending that everyone watches all of the playback videos, even if you don't watch the stream live. At least watch the playback video, because chances are there's a question that you've asked that I might not answer in an OpenTTD stream, but I might answer in one of the other streams. And it's not exactly a ploy to get people to watch all my videos, but it's more a fact of relevance. Some videos are more relevant than others when it comes to some of the questions that have been asked. Right, so currently it's set to autofill. What I'm going to do instead, first of all, I'm going to lock the times so that the timetable won't change these times now. Then I'm going to put on automate. Then I'm going to open up scheduled dispatch. I'm going to click enable. Did you hear the Midland Metro open a new extension just before Christmas? First section to use battery power instead of overhead wires. Yeah, is it Library now, the new terminus in Centenary Square? It looks okay, it looks quite cool. I'm not a big fan of this battery powered nonsense, to be honest. I know it makes the landscape look a little bit nicer not having overhead wires everywhere, but at the same time, just having one little section operate on a different source of power just seems like a waste of resources to me. Have you ever rode in or driven an electric vehicle? Yeah, every time I play golf I drive an electric golf buggy. It's probably not the answer you were expecting, but there we go. Right, scheduled dispatch. So the first thing you do is you click enable, then you click duration. In this case, 1440 minutes is a day, 24 hours, so I can just do that. Start date. Date is misleading, time is more accurate. So you can see here we're currently at 22:16 and it's saying 22:16. I'm actually going to set this to midnight. All my timetables start at midnight. Now we can set departure slots, and George, this is where I need your information. How regularly do you want this service to run? This is why I wanted the information immediately, so there's no awkward pause while I'm waiting. I'll give you 1 minute, and then I'll start just putting in random times. One of the good things about this is, I keep saying that, there's lots of good things about this, but if I put in like, I don't know, 10:30, 14:30, and then I realise, oh crap, I forgot the 12:30 one. You can just do 12:30, and it inserts it in the gap for you. Very handy. So what I've normally been doing is a train every half hour. Okay, every 30 minutes. What about during the peaks? Because some of the dense commuter services, I've been running trains every half an hour until the start of the morning rush hour, then every 15 to 20 minutes for 2 hours, and then every like 20 minutes during the day, and then every 15 to 20 minutes during the evening peak, and then every half an hour again till midnight. But every half an hour is quite handy. 800, 830, 900, 930. This is the tedious bit, is just putting all the times in. Someone has asked on the forums in the past if there's a way to copy schedules. I don't think it ever went anywhere though, which is unfortunate, but you never know. Some features in OpenTTD do tend to kind of get forgotten for a while, and then they'll get reinvigorated. Someone else will pick up the file and start using it. Okay, so what you've suggested there ties in nicely with what I was going to do. So if this service runs every half an hour, 1530, 1600, 1630. You might also notice here it's starting to tell me how many vehicles we'll actually need to run this service, and I'm not sure if this number is actually accurate. I think this number might also be part of the problem. 1700, 1730, 1800, 1830, 1900, 1930, 2000. How late are we running this service, by the way? Midnight is my absolute cutoff for most of these, but some of these trains don't tend to run that late. So let's have a look. Okay, there was a timetable here. There isn't one anymore. Maybe it only generates the timetable when it's actively serving. I'm just going to do 2200 for now. So then we've got a delay, which is set the maximum delay until a slot is skipped. So currently this is 0. If a train misses its time, basically, then the slot will be skipped and another train will be dispatched. I don't know if it's another train will be dispatched to fill this slot or if the next slot will become available. So say we missed the 6 AM departure. Do we then wait half an hour before a train is dispatched, or is a second train dispatched to fill the 6 AM departure? I just don't know. I also wish there was a way to offset this. So currently, this time of 6 AM is the time that the hour. Let me try that sentence again. Currently, the 6 AM time here is the time at which the schedule triggers. So with this particular example, it waits for an hour at this depot, but it doesn't start waiting for an hour until 6 AM. So technically, it doesn't get dispatched until 7 AM. And I think that is not good. That doesn't fit in with what I want. It does recommend that you use a depot as the first order point, which is what I've done. But there's no... actually, there is an offset option. Here, there's a clock offset, but that's it. I got mixed up when I first saw this, and I thought this was for scheduled dispatch, but there isn't one. There's the reset last dispatched one, which again I think just it says the last departure, so you reset the last departure, which in this case there hasn't been one yet. I'm going to set the delay to 15 minutes. So for whatever reason there's a delay, I'm going to wait 15 minutes before I skip the slot, and that might help fix some of the vehicle's bunching problem. Alright, let's also future-proof this a little bit. So let's assume that it will wait at the depot for an hour. That means if I start the first schedule at 5, it will leave this depot at 6, and then it will wait here for half an hour till 6:30, and then it will run down to GSP. So I think actually if I start this at like 4:30, then it will leave the depot at 5:30, it will stop here for an hour, and then at 6 it will start heading down towards GSP. That might be a bit more, maybe just at 4. So then this last train will technically leave the depot at 11. So it'll probably be about midnight before it gets to here, and then it'll be like 1 AM by the time it returns, which is about right. It's kind of realistic. So this currently runs from GSP down to Morningpool Falls. Do you have any 24/7 services in your network? Do you know of any 24/7 services in the UK rail network? Yes, and sort of. The overground, London Overground, and some of the underground lines do technically run 24/7 now, with the night tube and the night overground. They run limited services during those hours though, and I've kind of tried to replicate that here. So the overground, I think, let's choose this one. I think this one, oh yeah, this one technically does run all day and night now. So this one I've set the, instead of 14400 minutes. I've set it to 60 minutes. So you can reset this. I had it at midnight, 20 past, and then 22. But whatever hour you're on, well, that's not accurate because that says 2100. But whatever hour you're on, it will show the latest one here. So the last departure has not left yet. It will depart at 2340. So this is technically a 24-hour service, this overground. It runs every 20 minutes regardless of the time of day. And that might fix the problems that I've been having. But I need to get the trains back to the depot to find out if that's the case. And currently they're not back at the depot because they're all bunched up over here for some stupid reason. And I don't know what that stupid reason is. Is there a way? Yeah, I can do that. I'll get rid of all this extra track once this has sorted itself out. But yeah, this is... I can close these as well. This is now set up and running. However, this is the full service. This is the GSP to Morningpool full service. As George has said, during the peak we want a 15-minute service. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to find the first ungrouped... Also, this needs 11 vehicles. And we currently have 14. So I've tried to leave 2 extra. So if there is a problem for whatever reason, there's 2 extra vehicles in the depot to fill it. So 3 is a good number. I'm not too bothered by that. 3 is a good number. However, I am going to... Oops, not rename this one. I want to create a new group. Inside this group, that's actually good. So we're going to call this one off peak. And all of these trains are going to move into this new group. And then we're going to set up another new group, and we're going to call this one peak. And then we're going to go ungrouped vehicles. We're going to find the first train. Do we have any? We got this one. Might have to buy some new trains for this. We're going to... Which depot were you using? This one. So we have some ungrouped vehicles here, I believe, but I'm not going to risk selecting the wrong one by mistake. Oh yeah, another quality of life thing is Joker's Patch had the split. This might do as well, actually. Maybe it doesn't. Joker's Patch had the split thing, so locos would be down the left and wagons would be down the right. This doesn't have that. There might be a setting for it. I might just be being a derp again. Also, what type of train were you? You're a 151. So let's buy 2 of these. Tack them together. I'll move this up here as well. You won't be able to see it, but that's fine. Reset the livery to prototype. No, wait, you were prototype. So regional. There we go. Close this window. Right, so what I'm going to do with this now, you're going to be the peak. So what number are you? You're 962. So I'm going to move you into peak. I can close this again. Get rid of this. I'll get rid of this. So I need to find vehicle number 182. And I'm just going to copy your orders. I'm not going to hold control. I'm just going to do an outright copy. Drag this over here so you can see it. Now I'm going to open this right up and find Gronville West, which is there. And then everything after Gronville West up to Morningpool Falls. Oh, what was that noise? New subscriber, I think. Don't know what that noise was. We'll find out in a second. Everything after Gronville West, I'm going to remove. Reason being is the peak service out of GSP is going to terminate at Gronville West rather than at Morningpool Falls. Now, if I go timetable, the wait times should all be set up and they should all be locked as well, which is really handy. The automate is also locked. Scheduled dispatch is also set up, which is awesomely handy. But now I've got to change all these times, which is not so handy. So a lot of these, in fact all of these need to go. So the peak time is going to be sort of 7 AM, maybe 8 AM till 10 AM. What about creating some peak hours only services using this patch as per real life? Yep, that's also on the agenda. And I'll come to that one in a second, actually, because that was the next one I wanted to talk about. Good timing. Very good timing. So, let's assume that it takes an hour and a half to leave the depot and go to the first station. I think it'll actually take maybe 2 hours. Or an hour 45. Let's say an hour 45. So I need to set these dispatch times to an hour and 45 minutes before the time that I actually want it to arrive at GSP. Which is going to be fun. So let's say that the first one would be 8 AM till 10 AM would be rush hour. Would be the peak. Unless we do... Actually, for this one we could do 7. 7 till 10. So if we take off an hour and 45 minutes from 7 AM, we get 6:15, 5:15. So the first dispatch time is going to be 5:15. Then it's going to be 5:45. Then it's going to be 6:15. Then 6:45. Then 7:15. 7:45. 8:15. 8:45. And that in theory takes us up to 10. By the time this reaches GSP, it'll be 10 AM. So now we've got to do the evening one. So the evening peak is sort of 4 till 7. So 2:15, 2:45, 3:15, whoops, 3:45, 4:15, 4:45, 5:15. And I just got all my numbers wrong. And that takes us up till the end of the evening peak. So there should be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 for each one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, there's one missing. Oh, let's just do a 17:45 one as well. Did I say an hour and 15? Should be an hour and 45. It is an hour and 45. This is fine. This will work. So here's our morning and evening peaks set up for this particular order. Yeah, scheduled dispatch works with all vehicles in the game. So now it needs 8 vehicles to run this. So if I clone this 7 times, or let's do it 9 times. So hang on, it wants 8. Let's make 10 vehicles in this order list. And there we go. So that is, technically, on paper, it's the GSP to Morningpool Falls service. But during the peak hours, every 15 minutes, so in the in-between times, there is a train that will only go as far as Gronville. Do you have any night-only services in your network? Do you know of any night-only services in the UK rail network? Yes, the Caledonian Sleeper and the Riviera Sleeper only operate at night. A lot of freight movements and empty stock movements happen at night as well. And yeah, in this network we will have that as well. Not so much with the freight only, because a lot of people recommend when you use scheduled dispatch only have your freight trains run at night. But considering I'm working in real time here, that means I'll be generating goods during the day that won't be getting transported, which is a waste of money. So I will be trying to have freight trains run every hour, let's say, and then maybe at night have some mail trains that run a bit more frequently and stuff like that. Because then the passenger tracks are basically empty at night. So you can run, you know, if we did try and replicate empty stock movements and things like that, we would try and do it at night time. Bus services overhaul episode. Yeah, that will be happening. The other thing, there's lots of other things, but yeah, another thing that I can close all these windows now, by the way. So this is all set up. This service is in theory ready to go, and I might in fact start these trains off We shall see. I'm also going to save because I really don't want to have to do all that again. This game hasn't crashed since I've switched over, but I haven't really stress tested it yet. All I've done is just run the game. And you'll look at the money down at the bottom here. I did use the money cheats, cheating a load of money before I switched over to JGR. The costs, working in real time, the costs are actually quite manageable. You can see here, new vehicles is what's costing me most of the money right now. Train running costs are still quite high, but we're also making a lot in terms of train income. So we're almost making the money back. And really, if the trains are breaking even, we've still got an other cost at the bottom, but infrastructure sharing was the thing I was going to talk about. Infrastructure sharing is in the game now. I've got the cost set quite low, but what this means is I don't have to run people's franchises anymore. They can run their own. So if I stream for 2 hours every Thursday, during that period and periods around it, I can have people come on and actually run their own franchises. Now, before people get excited, there is a limitation to this. Currently, people can't copy orders from the existing trains. So because I own all of these trains, if you came on and set up your own company, so for example, if George came on and set up Great Western Railway, he can't copy the orders from my trains to get all this working. He can, I believe, use my depots to buy vehicles, and he can use all of my stations and all of my track. And my company would actually make a lot of money off that. Even though I've got the cost set quite low, it's entirely my infrastructure. But he can't copy the train orders, so there will be a lot of setup time whilst people get all that going. What I could do, because me as admin, I can jump between people's companies if necessary, so I might set up people's existing services for them, and then they can just add new services on top of that. That's a potential fix, but that's kind of a couple of months in the future still. Plus, there's only one patron, so there's no point setting up a server for just one person. It'll have to be more people, maybe 3 or 4 before we start doing that. Are there any YouTube tutorial videos on the JGR patch? I don't know. Actually, I've not really done much looking. A lot of this I've kind of worked out myself. The guy who created Scheduled Dispatch has written a tutorial on how to use that. He has missed out some things though. So everything I've just told you about how to set this up has come from that tutorial. And actually, let me find the link to that, because it's really handy. There we go. So everyone who clicks on that link, you'll get taken to the Google Doc. And it explains things about peak services and services that only run at night and things like that. But what it doesn't tell you is the delay, because I think the version... Oh, no, it does have it here, actually. The delay doesn't really get mentioned. But this timetable at the bottom of the page is one that I'm going to be setting up. Or people can set up for me if they want to. So, for example, franchise holders can set up their own timetables. The only downside to this is the running times between stations, because I don't know them. I don't know how long it takes to get from the airport here to GSP. Someone might know, but I don't. But anyway, this is one service set up. So it's 2 services technically running one service. The next thing that I wanted to show you, and it's to do with what Frank just asked about peak hours only services. We have down here a branch line that runs from Rudworth down to Dinstown. Now, these branch lines were good in theory, but they were problematic to begin with because the original patch, Joker's patch, we couldn't really set this up to work how we wanted it to, whereas now we can. So most of the time, this service will only run from Rudworth down to Dinstown, and it will connect at Rudworth with other GWR services. But during the peak hours, it will in fact be extended. And yesterday, me and George were talking about extending it to GSP. I think a better alternative would be to extend it just to the airport, Great Winfield Airport. I think that would work better. Because Rudworth is a bit of an out-the-way station. I think only one service actually stops here currently. Whereas the airport, every service stops there. So I think that would make more sense. Oh yeah, every single local authority hates me right now, which makes station building pretty tricky. There you go. They like me again. That surprised me. I went to place down a platform at Guard City St. George, and I got told, nope, can't do it. Local authority doesn't like you. And I haven't had that for a long time, because Magic Bulldozer in Joker's patch eliminates that, whereas in here it doesn't. So, as you can imagine, quelle surprise. I'm putting this on the wrong side. Derp. Actually, I can just do island platforms here. Also, this blue thing, I guess that's the station coverage. It's kind of cool. Let's just put down a CTA. And then on the back, just have a blank platform. And then buffer stops, which are here. So during the off-peak hours, this bay platform will be the one that's used. During peak hours, it will use the through platform, and it will run all the way down to the airport. Assuming, George, you're happy with that. What are the audio levels like, by the way? Can you hear me over the music, or is it a bit loud? I haven't used the music for so long, I can't actually remember how loud it is. I'm going to remove this signal, place it with that. Okay. This is all working now. We'll also replace that one. So you are going to be deny. Oops. If. Oh, for God's sake. Entry direction is from the front, then allow. Good stuff. We don't need the trees now. So for a second here, I'm going to copy this. This is a nice feature as well, by the way. These little arrows. I don't think these were on the Joker patch, but I can move this up and down. So in the past, if I had, let's say, actually this is a perfect opportunity to do this. Let's say, did not mean to move that down. Here, if next order is, so I can't remember which signal I chose now, I think it was this one, is hilltop. Now what I can do is just go up, up, up. Whereas in the past I would have had to have moved stuff around and deleted stuff and all kinds of things. Whereas now I can just do that. It's really nice. Very handy. Right, that was the right signal. Always good. And then you, if next order is this waypoint, then allow. So we're going to set up just a generic shuttle backwards and forwards between Rudworth and Dintown. And this will probably run every 30 minutes, shall we say? I think 30 minutes is fine. And then during the peak hours, it will still run every 30 minutes, but it will be extended down to the airport here. But we'll set it up as a separate service. So let's choose this first. New vehicles. I think we only need like one DMU to run this. What year were you introduced? 1989. We don't need a fast speed. Slow speed is fine. So you're a sprinter. You're a smaller sprinter. You're also a small sprinter. Let's buy this one. So you're train number 972. I might need to get my speed limits up in a second. So you're going to go here, 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 out this way. Whoops. Let's try and do this properly, shall we, eh? And then here you're going to go into the airport. No loading, no unloading. We'll set you to the middle. No loading, no unloading. And then from here you're going to run out. Not branch. This one. I think it's only 3. Might be wrong. Might be wrong. And then you're going to run fast all the way up to here. Like so. I think the speed limit on this branch is probably going to be like 30 miles an hour. So let's say you're doing 75 along here, 65, 55, 45, 35, 30. So you need 3 waypoints. Let's go with this type. You could just put them like this. One there, one there, one there. And then at this end, we'll do the same thing, except we'll use something like this. 1 and 2, because it's going to be 10 miles an hour going into there. Again, this isn't the particularly exciting bit of the setting all of this up, but it's kind of worth it. Well, it's definitely worth it at the end of the day. To have this all set up and be realistic makes it worth it. Are we buffering? No. Doesn't look like it. What's time? Oh wow, not even going an hour yet. Okay. Hilltop. And then down here to north. Is there one in the center here? Oh, something's buffering. To Dinstown. Are we buffering? I don't know. Let me take a drink quickly. Ah, that's better. Okay. So this is timetable set up. Let me just find out if we're buffering. So as the order's set up, now we've got to do the timetable. So I can show you what I mean here with the holding control. So let's turn that off. Hold control, do change time, set it all to 1. And you can see here these waypoints have all been set to 1 minute, which is not ideal because now you've got to go through and clear them all out one by one. Rudworth also. Okay. I need to fix this buffering. It drives me insane. Clear. Clear. There's Dinstown. Did we set up a schedule for this? Have you ever got less than you paid for? E.g. paid for 1 month's service, got only 3 weeks. Do you mean like Netflix subscription type thing? I think the answer for that is no. I don't think I ever have. Normally I get more, slightly more than I pay for. Here's a bit of consumer advice, by the way. Don't take this too literally, because the deal might have expired now. But if you have a YouTube Premium account, or a YouTube Music account, or a Google Music account, then you qualify for a free Nest Mini. So I've got a little Nest Mini sitting on my desk with Google Assistant. And I got that from that system. So I don't know if they're still running it or not. But if they are, I recommend getting one. £49, you get it for free. It's not bad. Not a bad deal. So what's this? Rudworth. Just adding this to the schedule list now. Hilltop. Runborough Central. Watling Street. Benfingfield North. Benfingfield South Parkway. I'm sure I had text wrapping on. There we go. And Dinstown. Whoops. And then the two depots. One of the reasons why it's good that we don't have to worry about the old scheduling system anymore is I don't have to worry about adding the extension to this anymore. It will just be there, ready. I can just go ahead and do it. Don't have to worry about adding it to the sheet. By extension, I mean when it extends to the airport. Didn't make that very clear, did I? 15 minutes there, 30 and 60. Okay, clear out the rest of these waypoints. So the Rudworth one. Trying to do 3 things at once at the moment. There's Rudworth, clear out that one, clear out that one, clear out, whoops, that one, and that one, and that one. Now we've got to do the stop times. So this depot here, it's going to be 60. Train care, it's going to be 30. The airport here, this is just driver change ends, so I'm just going to set it to 5. It's only at Rudworth that we're going to start doing this properly. Actually, this is a bay platform currently. I think this should be a through platform. Reason being, this 15-minute wait time. So let's copy that and have this be this, and then you copy that one, and then you have an if entry direction. There's loads more options for these signals now as well, so I'm going to have to learn some of these. There we go. If entry direction is from the front, then allow. This waypoint here is going to have to move over 1. So you're what? Rudworth North Slow? I think that's right. The tooltips disappeared as well, which is something else that... It's just, as I said, it's quality of life. It's not the be-all and end-all, but there's things that I've noticed where I've just thought, oh, I wish that hadn't have gone. But, you do. Has your computer itself crashed? As in, Operating system crash. I had one with my old PC. Like my old streaming PC, creation PC, all that stuff. Yeah, that was annoying when that happened. Because I think it was the processor actually died. But we didn't know it at the time. So we were changing lots of different parts, trying to see what it was that was actually broken. And the parts that didn't fix the problem, we actually reused for my brother's PC. So the motherboard, graphics card, things like that. It was the processor that was broken. But in fixing the processor, changing the processor, something like a switch almost got flicked on the motherboard. And I basically had to reinstall Windows and all of my programs. Which was really annoying, because at the time, I'd been working on some really good videos, and I lost them. Like some of the, like a lot of the hard drive saved stuff was fine. The internal hard drive, something happened to that where some of the files got lost. But there was some stuff like on No Limits 2 I was playing around with at the time, and I'd built some really cool roller coasters, and I was going to record them all, and I couldn't do that in the end because No Limits 2 got deleted from my PC. And all of my save files got deleted as part of that. So that was annoying. But, you know, PC still works. And actually the new processor has lasted like 5 times as long as the old one. So that's not bad. And I had a graphics card replacement as well. Which, I mean, if you follow me on social media, you'll know all this stuff anyway. Because I like to bitch and whine when things break. What are the speed limits around the depot? That's a good question. That's 15 out of here, is it? And then it's 25. So yeah, little things like that. They're inconvenient more than anything. I think I've done something wrong here. Oh, it is 45. Okay. So coming out of the airport here, it's actually 45 miles an hour. And then it's 55. And then it's 65. And then it's 75. Whoops. Actually, one thing I'm going to do before I do anything else is lock these. Because you can accidentally reset these if you're not careful. And boy, is that annoying. I've done that before. I had to reset all my stop times. I was not very happy. So actually, out of Rudworth. Yeah, we really don't need these waypoints that I've put in here now. We only need... So we don't need any of them. Yeah, we don't need any of them at this end. We do at the other end. We don't at this end. So I can scratch all these. Close that. Keep this open. Go back to orders. Rudworth and these ones. I'm going to pin that just in case I need it again. So Rudworth is there, and then it's 30 miles an hour all the way down until we get to here, where it then goes 2010. And then coming out of Dintown, it's going to go 1020. And then 30 all the way up to here. And it's only when we go through out of Rudworth that we go back up to 55. Oh wait, you're 75. So you need to be, what, 65? Technically you could be 75 as well, but we'll just ignore that for now. So you're then going to be 65. 55. 45. And then coming out of here, you're going to be 35. 25. And then... Oh wait. That is that. This is this. And then you're going to be 15. Right, you're all set up. We can do automate. Schedule dispatch. Have you ever had a speed limit less than 10? Not on the rails, but on the roads I have. Yeah, I've done that. Nothing new there. What? Oh, there we go. Right, enable. So you're going to run every 1440. Start date, we'll just do midnight. It's just a standard, makes things easy. It means that technically this train, I don't think will... Or maybe it will. Maybe it will. I don't know. Anyway, I've got to stop wasting time. Delay, we'll do 15 minutes again. Start date, yeah, happy with all that. So add departure slots. This is going to be after the morning peak, which is going to be, what, 10 AM? So we need to take an hour and a half off that. So what, 8:30? I think. And then 9, 9:30, 10, 10:30, 11, 11:30, 12, 12:30, 1. Oh yeah, so currently it's not telling me how many vehicles we need, because right now it doesn't know. It's only once that the travel times have been filled in that it will be able to determine how long it's going to take. Currently it says it's going to take 3 hours to complete, and that includes all the wait times, and that also includes the depot times as well. Have you ever... Oh no, 4 operators are at risk of losing their franchise. Trans-Pennine Express, West Midland Trains, Northern SWR. SWR due to financial issues. People blaming the wrong people is the answer. Simple answer to that question. Financial issues is a different matter. That's bad business management. But the rest of the stuff, like Northern, okay, they had a bad period last year, but they were doing all right before that. New trains have been introduced. People seem to like them. It's just, I don't know. I think Grant Shapps wants to flex his muscles, and he's chosen the wrong people to pick on. That's my honest opinion. But I don't want to get political tonight. Right, 14:30. Now that technically takes us up to 1600 hours then. If you include the hour and a half here. So that will be the last train in this order. I'm not going to have a morning before the peak, and I'm not going to have an evening after the peak. This is strictly going to be a during the day and peak hours service only. So this service now is technically set up and can start. We will have to let the train run once through its schedule. Let me close these. So this one I'm actually going to start it. In fact, these other two I might as well start as well. Just so they can go out and fill their... so the bottom one can go and fill out its wait time, and then the top one's just so that there's something running, basically. Now we're going to do the peak pattern for this branch. So again, you were what? A 153? No, 150-0. One of you. Pin you. Close you for now. We also need to add a new group here. 2BXX. What was Rudworth's code? I've never been to the Americas. I'd like to go to North America at some point. USA. What was I looking for? Oh yeah, station codes. I'd love to go to the USA. I really want to do a Disney tour of the world, so that would take me to Asia as well. But technically, if you count stopovers, I've been to Singapore and I've been to Malaysia. But I personally don't count those, because I never left the airport. Oh, it is RUD. RUD. D to... Is it DIN for Dintown? Yeah. Starting to learn these as I'm typing them. But it does take a while. So here, Hong Kong. What have I missed? And Paris. 2 in Paris. So I've been to the 2 in Paris. I'd like to go and do the ones in America. That's the dream. And the one, like, my problem with going to other countries is, actually, I mean, I don't really have a problem going to other countries. That's a lie. I was about to say something a little bit too personal then. I probably won't say that. But I really want to go to Japan at some point in the future, because Japan is such an amazing place. And I've watched lots of travel vlogs that go to Japan, and it just looks so awesome. Everything about Japan looks awesome. And Shanghai Disneyland is such a fantastic, innovative park as well. So they're the dreams. Tokyo Disney Sea is the best theme park on earth, according to a lot of people. So it'd be really nice to go see what the fuss is all about over there as well. But yeah, apart from that, no, I haven't been to America. Or Asia. So you are the off-peak service. You are the peak service. Now this one, if I select the off-peak one for a second, you are going to copy from this one. Except, if I minimize this for a second, once you leave Great Winfield and go through all this, so once you go outside of here, you're then going to stop here as well. And also this isn't going to be set like that. Also Rudworth should be a middle station. Yeah, makes more sense. And this one should also be middle. Set that up here as well. Also, a lot of these questions, by the way, you're better off asking them for the 1K Q&A. You've still got a week to get stuff in for that. So feel free to ask them there instead. I should refuse to answer them really until then, but there we go. I'm feeling generous today. Right, so Great Winfield here. You're not going to wait for 5, you're going to wait for 15. And then Little Trap Bridge. Got to turn off automate for this. Hold control when you're doing that, by the way, because if you don't, then you do reset all of your wait times, which is, I found that out the hard way. As you can see here, it's currently locked. It's locked this way, which means the timetable won't change it. But if you've got automate here switched on, then if you don't hold control, it changes it. Or it resets them all to 0. And yeah, that's really annoying. I really wish it wouldn't do that. You also have to hold control when you set this to automate as well, so that it doesn't change it. It's too many buttons. It's too many buttons. Right, so you're going to be the morning and evening peaks. So if peak runs... Actually, I set you up at... Oh yeah, duh, because this is 10 by the time we get there. So I need you to end at 10. No, I need you to end at 7. No, I need you to start at 10:30. That's what I want. So let's set you for 9, because that will take you to 10:30 by the time you leave, and then 9:30. Wait, what am I doing? I need you to end at 10. Yeah. So I need you to start at 7. So the first one needs to leave at 5:30. We got there in the end, guys. We got there in the end. 6, 6:30, 7, 7:30, 8, 8:30. Because you start at 8:30, do you not? Yeah, which takes you to 10. So I need you to remove this last one. So the 10 o'clock departure will be the first one of the off-peak. What is the biggest unexpected financial and general loss you ever had? When my Adobe renewed last year. If anyone has Adobe, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. My eyes watered when I read that. Crikey. So this one starts at, or ends at, 1600. So I'm actually going to remove this one. So you're going to be, what, 1430, 15, 1530, 16, 1630, 17, 1730. I think that'll do. That takes us up to 7 o'clock, doesn't it? Maybe I'll add some here afterwards. So what's 1800? 1830, 1900, 1930. That takes us, what, up to 9 PM? That sounds about right for a branch line. You're not going to run it any longer than that, are you? So this, yeah, this in theory can start. Delay 15, delay 15. Go for it. I might make this an island platform as well. For those who are wondering, my Adobe renewal was just short of £600 for the year. And if it wasn't for the fact that I use it every single day, I would cancel my subscription. Because that is, you know, I'm a struggling entrepreneur right now. 600 quid a year is a lot of money. For context, my website, all of my websites, including the XVI one, comes to less than that. All the renewals, including the domains, currently come to less than that. It's a lot of money. Let's go with that one. There we go. Right. So this train can also start now. What else have we got? This save file, by the way, once I've done the stream, I'll upload it to the Google Drive as well as the updated new GRF folder, so you guys can download this and play it. Call it a late Christmas present or an early New Year's present or a late New Year's present. Right, what else do we do? We could do an HST service. So, actually, how long have we got left? We've got like 30 minutes left. I said I'd finish at 9 tonight because I promised the guys I'd play Siege, although knowing them, they've probably all... Maybe they are all going to be online. I don't know. I'm also on the wrong Discord right now. Let's go OBS back up. But yeah, I'll end at 9 anyway. 2 hours is a good time. But some of these services, like the HST here to Morningpool Falls, I might cut this one back to Woolworth at certain times of day. I think the one I will do is the Plindham Junction one, even though that involves a lot more timetable jigging. I'm not going to do off-peak and peak for this service. It's just going to be straightforward. Every half an hour there'll be an HST service to Plindham Junction. Makes my life easier, makes the network run a little bit smoother. Just makes more sense. What was the wait time? Plindham, 45 minutes. Might change that to 30. I think that makes more sense. And then 5 minutes at the main stations. That kind of works. $30 there, 5 here. So the advantage of having these timetables already set up is I can just swoop through, reset all the wait times. Don't have to worry about anything else. Automate, lock all the wait times. Why is that one locked? I don't know why this one's locked. There is a spreadsheet with all the planned services and frequencies which were agreed on back in September. Well, do you want to send me that again? Because I can't remember all of it. Yeah, just put it on Discord. Do you have any services that run only once daily or less in your network? Yep, we will do. We don't yet, but we will do. And non-parliamentary services that run only once daily or less. Can you run less than once daily? Don't know if that's possible. But yeah, the sleepers again, actually, is the answer to that. Caledonian Sleeper, the Riviera Sleeper. Technically, well, okay. So the Caledonian Sleeper, there are two services. There's the Highlander and the Lowlander. And each one splits. So there's 4 services that run north, and there's 4 services that run south. But between, let me get this right, between Euston and Edinburgh, I think the Lowlander runs as a single train, and between Euston and Carstairs, the Highlander runs. That's not right. I think it's the other way around. I think the Highlander splits at Edinburgh, and the Lowlander splits at Carstairs. But yeah, there's a north service every day and there's a south service every day. Oh, this is what I was looking at, George. I was looking at my version of this, but I think I've copied everything over from this. So train frequency every 30 minutes. Wait time at GSP was 45. We'll do 45 for now, and we'll see how it goes. I can always change it to 30. Oops, not 455, bloody hell. Can you imagine that? Okay, so if we want to get the first train in at like 7 AM, we're going to have to leave the depot at 5:30. There's a few Sunderland to London once a day. There are, yep. London Euston to Wrexham General once a day. I think, isn't there a London to Euston to Shrewsbury once a day as well? There's a few from Shrewsbury that run through Wales once a day. The Flying Scotsman, Edinburgh to London, is technically a once-a-day service because it only runs once in the morning, the southern service. There isn't a northbound equivalent, I don't think. The reason this Flying Scotsman's so significant is it only stops at Newcastle, whereas most trains that go between London and Edinburgh also stop at York, sometimes Doncaster, sometimes Darlington and Durham, whereas this one runs... It has to stop at Newcastle because... it has to slow down to go through Newcastle anyway, so it might as well stop. But it also does slow down to go through York. It's a really weird sight of a train running through York without stopping. It's such a rarity. Let's say the first HST leaves at 6:30, so you need to leave the depot at 4:30. And then 5, 5:30, 6, 6:30, 7, 7:30, 8. Now some people might be saying here, why aren't you just doing the set the duration to an hour and all of that stuff. The reason I'm not doing that is because there will be a period during the night where the no trains are running, and you can't do that if you set it to an hourly schedule. 9, 9:30, 10. But hopefully you guys now can see the flexibility that scheduled dispatch offers, and why I was so keen on bringing it to the network, because it was perfect with the whole realism initiative and all the the schedules that we were setting up. The old system just wasn't working anymore. Too many trains were getting bunched up and it just wasn't running fluidly. Whereas scheduled dispatch, it's much more disciplined than I could ever be in making sure trains leave when they're supposed to. It's just perfect. It fits exactly how I expected it to, apart from the little problem that I explained at the start. Which, the more I'm looking at this, the more I'm thinking it was me being dumb, rather than the system not working. But we'll see. We'll see. 1530, 1600, 1630, 1700. So let's see, that takes us up to 6:30 in the evening. 1730, 1800, 1830 takes us up to 8 PM. 1900, 1930 takes us up to what's that, 7:30, so it takes us up to 9 PM. 2030 takes us up to 10 PM. 2100, 2130 takes us up to 11 PM. I think that'll do. I think that'll work nicely. So 11 PM, if it takes, does it say how long it takes? Claims it needs 10 vehicles. We have 7. That's interesting. Didn't have enough. Now we've got 12. Mind you, I think it was trying to run more frequently in the past. So let's say it's currently 2200, so there's no trains running now until 4:30 the next day. So if I was to set this off now, what I'm going to do to test this is unpause the game, and at least one of these should say waiting due to timetable. Before I do that, I'm going to save. London to Shrewsbury's twice a day, is it? I was looking up Shrewsbury the other day because I wanted to build a station like Shrewsbury. Oh, does the Highlander split into 3? I thought it was 2. Interesting. Do you know of any instances in the UK rail network where a train splits or combines in the middle of its journey? I don't know if it's still the case, but when I used to go to Canterbury to visit my bro at uni, I had to get on a specific train at St Pancras International, and then I had to make sure I was on the front half, I think it was, because at Ashford it split. Half of it went to Dover, I think the other half went to Faversham? No. Not Faversham. Margate, I think was the other half. So yeah, that happens. There's a lot of other cases where trains split. There was one in Birmingham recently where trains split and joined up again, but I think they've removed that because it was causing more problems than it was solving. London to Edinburgh via just Newcastle will become regular from December 2021. There's Great Malvern to Brighton once a day, 2 hourly stops at York. Oh, crikey. Different conversations happening here. London to Glasgow, 3 trains per day. Liverpool to Glasgow, 3 trains per day. Aberdeen to Penzance. Is that once a day? I thought they ran like 2 or 3. Could be wrong. Guildford to Newcastle, Bath to Glasgow, Cardiff to Manchester, cross country, all once a day. Yeah. There's a lot. I'm not interested so much in doing just 1 a day cross country trains on this network. I'd like to do more than 1, but you know, necessity and all that. I'll have trains running through the night if necessary. Cross country also run 1 Bristol Temple Meads to Stansted Airport a day. It's a lot when you actually look and see how many there are. There are a few where it's just 1 a day. Okay, I'm going to unpause the game now. Yeah, 3 of them are waiting due to timetable. Now, why are you getting... Oh, did I set you to the wrong... I think I set you to the wrong depot. That was dumb. Oh, so you're actually going out and doing your timetable journey. But look, see here, it arrives at this depot at 22:17, which is the one it's running now, but it doesn't leave until 5:45. So that's going to be sat there for hours. And now this one is waiting for timetable. So it does kind of work. I guess one of the problems I had was impatience, because this train is going here first before it runs its journey, but I didn't want it to do that necessarily. So it's going to be sat here for, what, 7 hours before it starts, 7.5 hours? And other trains are going to be coming and leaving while that's happening. So it technically will be in the way, but because it's, you know, we've got enough tracks here, it shouldn't cause too big an issue. But that was one of the problems I was having. But we might have fixed it. Might have accidentally fixed it. Right, one more service I want to set up. I want it to be another stopper, if possible. We got this one to Woolworth, which I think, is it an all-stopper? Outside of Great Winfield. Stops there. Does stop at Rudworth, so that'll be connecting to the branch. I think it uses this one as a waypoint though. Stops here, it's safingly. I think it's an all-stopper, you know. So we should probably set this one up as well to terminate at Woolworth. And for this one, I don't think we need a peak and an off-peak. That's the wrong thing. I don't think we need a peak and an off-peak. I think just the one will be fine. Now, let me go on my Discord for a second. M4J Network, this one. So this is the GSP to Woolworth Central, and it will run every 30 minutes. Which I think is what I've got on my sheet as well. GSP to Woolworth runs every 30 minutes. But it's waiting for 15 minutes at Woolworth. I might change that to 30. And these stopping times also need to change. It's 1, 2, 1, 1. There we go. Okay, so the depot here, you're going to wait for, whoops, cancel that. You're going to wait for 60, and then for 30. It's always good to get the vehicles to bunch up in the actual depot. These depots, oops, you probably won't be able to see that because of the logo. These depots here. It's always easier to get it to do that, which is technically unrealistic. But because these are bottomless pits when it comes to train storage, it's better than trying to get them all to gather here. In the future, I will swap them round so that trains will wait here for an hour and it would then look more realistic. But right now, just while I'm doing trial and error, it's a lot easier to swap around these orders and wait times and stuff in the future. For example, I can move the depot to the bottom because it's always the top order that it queues the trains at until their dispatch time. So having it as the depot when you're practicing is good. But I can easily move this order to the bottom of every order list without it messing everything up. You will have to amend a couple of the speed limits and stuff like that, but it really isn't that difficult compared to some of the other things you have to do. So you're going to be 2 minutes. You're going to be 1 minute. 1 minute. 2 minutes. Little Trot Bridge, 1 minute. I think Rudworth, even though it's an interchange, I'm just going to have it as a minute. Not many people are going to be getting on and off, I hope. Oh, you do actually stop at Taunton. Yeah, you do stop. Okie dokie. Interesting. And yeah, when I first started redoing all of these, I thought it would take me ages to actually go through and redo these. But because I'm just changing certain orders, so like here I'm only changing, was it 2 for Neffingberg, Springs East? Yeah. I'm only changing these wait times. So it really isn't that bad. When I'm setting up new orders in the future, new trains, that branch line was relatively easy because there's only, what, 7 stations that I had to set up. Some of the longer ones, like the cross-country stuff, might take a little bit longer. might be a little bit more tedious to do. But with scheduled dispatch, it's just so much nicer, because I can think about the schedules and the planning of the schedules as I'm doing this. And again, it sounds really nerdy, and it sounds really, you know, you have to be committed in order to make it work. But we're pretty committed people over here at M4J. And it's just a relief. It's just a relief having all this working now. I think that the best way of describing it is I was becoming less and less interested in the M4J network. Particularly just before Christmas. The game kept crashing, the money was dropping through the floor. That we are still losing money. I don't know if you can see because of the XVI logo. I mean, this year we've lost over £1 billion, but over £1 billion of that has been spent on new vehicles. So we've lost about 200 million, I think, this year. In 2270. Ignore the year. I might reset the year back to like 1989, something like that, just so we have a bit more realistic views when it comes to new trains and stuff like that. Maybe 93, because that's the year I was born. It's a good year, 93. Disneyland Paris opened in 93 as well. It wasn't good at the time, but it is now. So yeah, we are still losing money, but we're losing money at such a slow rate in terms of real time that it's not really an issue. Like, I started, when I cheated the money in, I was on 7.6 trillion. Now I'm on 7.3 trillion, and I've had the game running quite a lot in that time. So it really isn't that bad. It really isn't that bad. It's manageable. It's probably the key word there, manageable. But yeah, I was losing interest. I was really losing interest in the series. The only reason I was sticking with it really is because I was streaming it and I was getting good views. Whereas now, I'm really looking forward to the next project. And I'm actually looking at things like new lines and what kind of trains we can run on those new lines. And it makes a massive difference. Believe me, it makes a huge difference. Scheduled dispatch. Enable. Duration 14400. Start date midnight. And add a departure slot. What was... oh god. Tell you what, because we're not going to have a peak and an off peak for this one either. It's just going to run. So let's say if we start it at like 7 AM. So the first one needs to leave at 5:30. Although let's stagger this a little bit. This is something else I have to remember to do actually, because we've currently got all these trains leaving on the hour, or on the half hour. So I need to change that. So let's say it's going to have to leave at 5:30 in order to get to GSP at 7. Let's say the first departure is at like 6:36. So you're going to have to leave at like 5:06. And then 5:36, 6:06, 6:36. Oops. 7:06, 7:36, 8:06. Have you ever had to cheat to reduce your bank balance to realistic amount? Yeah. Once or twice I've lowered the amount a little bit just to make it look a little bit more realistic. Right now though, there used to be a time where I kind of hid a little bit more that I was using the money cheat. But when I restarted the network, so when the Jeffries network ended, that's when I stopped lowering the amounts again. When the M4J network started, I was very open and honest about the fact that, you know, this company has no money, we're hemorrhaging it, so I'm going to have to cheat some money in. And I don't normally like doing that, but it was that or give up, basically. So I had to do it, and now it's kind of part of the series. But I'm looking for ways to treat it as I've just invested money into the business, and then once I've got enough money, I'll start taking some out again. I want the company to be self-sufficient at the end of the day, and I want the game to be self-sufficient. So when people join the game in the future, they start paying me track access charges. That should cover a lot of my costs, I hope. And currently, I think it's like £100 per 1,000 tons. It's whatever the default values are for track access. I will tailor those as much as I can so that the company makes as much money as possible without also costing other people too much money. And then the company should become self-sufficient, which is, as I said, it's the target all along. So that's the aim. And it is doable. I'll be looking at ways to make money. Something that people recommend on the forums as well is to run lots of aircraft, which I was doing, but again with the old timetable system it really wasn't working out. So we'll be looking at getting that up and running again. But the next few weeks, I keep asking people to leave suggestions for what they want to see over the next few episodes, and no one does. Which, I mean, that's a whole new level of disappointment, really. People just don't leave suggestions anymore. People loved talking when I wasn't particularly interested in listening, but as soon as I opened my ears to people, they stopped saying things, which is a bit... I don't know. A psychologist could probably spend years researching my audience and what the hell's going on, but not my business. But yeah, the next couple of weeks, at least, maybe the next 3 to 4 weeks. What episode is this? This is 44, isn't it? So I don't want episode 50 to be redoing stuff. I want 50 to be a big build episode, which some people have suggested things for. But the next few weeks are going to be getting other types of vehicles up and running again. I'd like to get some container ships running between Morningpool and Guard City North Freight Terminal and Guard City South Freight Terminal to do a little bit of interchange there, as well as some like mineral ships and things like that. That will all be done with scheduled dispatch. Aircraft as well between Guard City and Bar City will be working with scheduled dispatch. The high speed I've actually got going on scheduled dispatch as well. That was something I was also having problems with, but if this, what I'm doing right here is a test. If this test is successful, then I will implement it across the rest of the network, basically. But I'm using this as a test bed. So, you know, the Great Western franchise is the guinea pig in this instance. I'm also stress testing it. Having 6 services start all at once, it's going to push it to its limits, I imagine. What have we got here? 1936. So that takes us up to... What's that? 736. This is going to be the 906 train. (2006), 2036, 2106, 2136, 2206, 2236. That takes us up to 6 minutes past midnight, which I think is a good time for the last train of the day to run. And that's that all done. On the other network, which I was a part of, the infrastructure owner made a company worth 350 million, whereas I had 2 railway lines, about 15 vehicles, and company value at 1.7 billion. Bearing in mind I'm running my own trains as well. So, franchise holders here on this network, so like George, because you're the only franchise holder, you would run all of the services that are part of the Great Western franchise. So all the ones, these ones basically, on the left hand side, all the ones that we've planned out, these would all technically be yours. The other trains that use this line currently, so Guard City Connect, Cross Region, Cross Country, the Freight, that's all owned by me right now until someone else becomes a patron and takes over. So I will be making money off the trains as well as the access charges that your company will be paying. So I don't know how much that guy was charging on the other server, but I might use that as a datum if he was making 350 million from it. That's cha-ching and all that. Because the infrastructure sharing income for me should outweigh all of the other costs. Where did that 175 million pounds come from, by the way? Oh, was that? Oh, I think that was tree placing. That was me, wasn't it? But new vehicles is expensive. That will always be an offset cost. You're basically building up money to pay for your new vehicles all the time in normal OpenTTD. Vehicle income, train income here. You can see the big drop. This is where I had the problem with trains not behaving properly, and another big drop here. Although we're currently in February, so this should come back up. Plus, we're constantly introducing new services to the network again. So this should again counteract everything. One more thing I'm going to do tonight before we do start wrapping things up is I want to get rid of these bland blank platform. Oh, never mind. One sec. Ah, there's no blank spaces to put trees in. Alright, we're going to have to go old school. Now, the last time I tried this, I got caught. Okay, that should be enough. That was expensive, by the way. How much does that cost per? 6 million! You better be singing my praises from the rooftops now after all that. What else? Some signs would be nice. I think we'll put signs on this side so that we can actually see them. Benches. Like that. I think you're just going to be a plain platform. Some shelters. We could put some shelters in. Let's go with something a bit modern. Like so. And I think that's it for the double-sided. So if we go to single-sided, well, where's it? There it is. Just trying to find that. Put that in. Actually, I messed up. You need to just be. Let's go with something like this. Nice and easy. And then we'll put a CTA here, and we'll just leave this last bit blank. This is like the terminating platform from GSP, so it doesn't have to be too fancy. It's right next to the terminal. What mod do you people want? Short walking distance. We'll put some dispatch cabins either side, and then we'll put benches there. And then, where are we? This side, we'll go like this. Some shelters, a bench, another dispatch cabin, put one there and there. And then I think I will just leave this one blank. And then this side, there and there will be dispatch. I think that just makes the station look so much nicer. Company value was 350 million for him. Yours may be bigger even after all the franchises are taken over by Patreons. I reckon you'll be rolling in money. I hope so. I hope so. Dartmoor and Weardale railways have been put up for sale by owning company BAR. Ooh. Who wants to buy a railway? How old in-game are some of your vehicles? In particular, what is the oldest vehicle you have? Do you know what? At the moment, it's quite high because a lot of vehicles have been sat in the depot, not doing anything, while I've just been running the game. So I think I've got some that are like 700 years old. Don't read too much into that though, because in reality, they're probably like 20 years old. But because the game time jump has happened, so it used to be like a in-game year would be like 5 minutes, whereas now an in-game year is, I think it's the equivalent of 1 day. Is a year, so a day in real time is a year in game, something like that. I don't know the exact numbers, but it's a huge difference now. So some of the trains, they might say they're a couple of 100 years old, but in reality they're like 2 to 10 years old, something like that. I could probably find out if I do all trains age. So you're my newest. These are the oldest. These have no power. So yeah, this says 1,115 years. It really isn't that old, in reality. But yeah, all my metro trains. Oh, god damn it. I was keeping those specifically. They're all going to have to go now. That's annoying. Oh well. Right, so Great Western Railway is back up and running, which is awesome. I'm going to test all of these. I'm actually going to be playing Siege with the guys now for a bit, and then I've got a video to edit afterwards for tomorrow. Which is the first M4J logistics video of the year. I strongly recommend, even if you don't like Euro Truck that much, I strongly recommend you check out that video, because I do talk about some things to do with the future of the channel, schedules, series that's staying and going, thumbnails, all that kind of exciting thing. Plus, I announced the 1K streams as well. Like I said, next Monday should be the first stream. I'm hoping that people have remembered that I've asked to clear my schedule for next week. It was going to be this week, but it was my dad's birthday yesterday, so I didn't want to be streaming on his birthday. In the end, I wasn't well yesterday anyway, so yeah, things happened. Week after next is my birthday on the Wednesday, so I hope you've all got me a present ready. So I won't really want to be streaming on my birthday if I can help it. So next week was the best time to do the 1K stream. It's the closest I could get to the new year. It's also the closest really I could get to hitting 1K. But I'll be answering all of your questions. I will over the weekend be preparing like a Google Doc that will have all your questions for each stream, and I might make them public. So if you're wondering when your question will be answered, I'll post those on Discord as and when I make them, so you'll be able to check that out. Just means if you are only wanting to watch one stream in particular, you'll know which one to tune in for. I would prefer it if everyone came to all of the streams. I'm going to be streaming on YouTube and Twitch if I can. Simultaneously, so hopefully I'll get a big audience. And you can also ask questions during the stream as well. Don't worry about that, I'll answer those directly. But yeah, the deadline for getting questions in for the 1K stream, if you're going to do it through Discord, is going to be probably tomorrow night. So then I have the weekend to get it all done. Thanks for the episode, really enjoyed it. No problem, no problem. As I said, new year, new start, things a bit more invigorated, and you know, stuff's happening basically. And as I said, JGR, I wasn't expecting him to come up with a solution to the problem so quickly, and I'm really grateful to him that he's done that. And I'm also really grateful to James for bringing it up on GitHub as well, so that JGR could do it. Like I said, the series wasn't dying, but it felt like it was dying. The people were still turning out every week, and it was getting really good, having lots of people on the stream asking lots of questions, getting involved, and that's something I definitely want to carry on throughout this year, and also start it with other series like Football Manager and things like that as well. But it was just getting a bit boring with things breaking all the time, and I'm spending more time fixing things than I'm actually spending introducing new things. So as I said, really grateful to JGR for actually working. Probably, I think it was the week between Christmas and New Year, wasn't it? It's basically giving up holiday time to work on a solution to this problem. If JGR has a PayPal or something that people can donate to, I'll be making a donation, and I would recommend, it's not a necessity, don't worry, I'm not asking people to hand over money necessarily, but if you download this patch to play this save game on, I think it wouldn't hurt if we all donated a small amount, if there's a way of doing it, because as I say, without that, the series would be in trouble right now. So big thanks to JGR, you're a legend, buddy. But yeah, I'm going to wrap things up here. Thank you very much everybody for coming in and watching. I was a little bit worried at the start because it was a bit quiet, but things have picked up a lot since then, so thank you very much for that. Thank you to George coming in and helping out with the franchise as well. Hopefully you're happy with the stuff here. If you're not, for whatever reason, or if there's stuff you'd like to add to it, feel free to go away and do that. Discord is the best place to contact me for that. And also ideas for the series, ideas in general. If anyone wants to become a Patreon supporter, there's no cut-off point for that. You can go ahead and do that now. I think is it $15 a month before you can control a franchise? I think it is. I'll have to check that. It's all up on my Discord. It's all up on my Patreon. Link is in the description. And you have to be a patron for 3 months before you get access to the tier awards. That probably puts a lot of people off, to be honest, but it's there for a reason. It's so that people don't just support me for a month, go do this, and then disappear off the face of the earth. Because it takes me a lot of time to change things over to what people want, and then it takes just as much time to change it back. So 3 months is how long it takes. It means I get a nice bit of money. Patreon-only videos are still in the pipeline. I'm still trying to find a way to fully implement that. So I'll give you some updates on that as and when I can. I've not even recorded the footage for those videos yet, just so that I haven't got to sit on them for ages waiting. But yeah, that's it from me. So thank you very much, guys, for watching. Hit the like button if you haven't done so already, if you enjoyed the video, and of course if you enjoyed the series. Drop some comments down below with ideas for future episodes. Also head over to my Discord, link should be in the description for that as well, and leave some ideas down there too. Check out the Reddit community as well. It's also a really nice place to share ideas. Things like if you can't share pictures and videos on Discord, then Reddit is a good place to do that. It allows bigger file sizes. And what else? It's been so long since I did my end of stream spiel. I think that's everything, isn't it? If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, be sure to hit the subscribe button. We did get a new subscriber tonight, which I'm really happy with. If you have already subscribed to the channel, thank you guys for your continued support. And yeah, I'll see you next week for this time next week for the OpenTTD 1K Q&A. But I'll also see some of you, I hope, on Monday for the first 1K Q&A stream as well. So until then, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.